Stefan, how are you feeling today?
Very energized and motivated, to be honest. I had a short holiday, so I came back pretty energized for 2026.
All right, where have you been?
Italy, in Val d'Aosta, so
Okay, very nice.
mountains, cold, but great food and great wine.
As always.
As always.
Italy doesn't disappoint.
Never,
so,
never,
I
ever.
think yes, this time last year we went to Tuscany, went to Firenze, so beautiful.
Definitely. Porchetta.
Good food, good wine.
Yeah.
Excellent.
As always.
So you started the week, Stefan, as you were sharing a little bit with me today. For the sake of the audience, can you share a little bit what do you do and what your job consists of?
So I am the CEO of Eunoia. So Eunoia is a data and AI services company. I know everything is data and AI today, but we've been in the market since 2017 and even before that because the company comes from another corporate where the company transformed from a business intelligence company through data platforms, big data platforms, to AI today, right?
Okay. So who would be your target clients or target audience?
So companies who are trying to move away from using the spreadsheets, right? So
Okay.
the companies who have a lot of data, but they have a lot of models based on Excel, which are very fragile because of the human nature, right? Because normally it's all about human heroics. So you have someone who's really capable with Excel, and he's keeping things in order
Yes.
every time. And when people leave because people move in an employee market like it is today, then everyone knows how fragile it is.
And for a noob like me, just to use a, a bit of a developer term, although spreadsheets and Excel is a very powerful tool, it doesn't have that ecosystem feel where everything is connected.
Yeah, I think actually I think tomorrow there's a post coming out because I wrote it today. I was focusing on how the issue with taking so when you're presenting, right? You're presenting numbers. You put it in a presentation, whatever. Just not to do
Adverts.
adverts. In the presentation, you go to a meeting and you start showing numbers. Whilst you're showing numbers, the first question from the most silent person in the panel would be, "Can you break down that number?" And that is where you have to go back, rework it, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience to be able to translate numbers into insights. And today, I think this is the issue. This is the challenge that I see in the market. That many organizations are data rich, but then they are insight poor. And today you can't really be insight poor, otherwise you take decisions based on gut feel. And the patterns of the customers today are no longer as they were 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. So you need to adapt and you need to see, you need to base, gut feel is very important in business because everyone tells you that you shouldn't take decisions on gut feel, etc. Gut feel is very important because it tells you where you should focus on. Having said that, confirming your gut with numbers is really what makes you special then and what makes you succeed.
Stefan, when you say insights poor, what do you mean?
So insights poor. So when you have let me try to put it into very simple terms. So you're looking at invoicing, like every organization has invoicing, right? Let's say this organization has stock as well. So how do you ensure that the revenue generation or how much revenue you're making is not over the purchases, right? So if you're a fashion company, you have a lot of shirts and you're selling 50% of them. But are you really selling 50% of them? So if you have sizes, different sizes, and if a female size 10 is the first one to be sold, If you stop selling the size 10, does it mean that you lost opportunity of selling more t-shirts, or really because you sold the, 50%? So there's this dynamic of understanding where and how you can improve your margins, improve your profits, improve your sales, improve your stock, improve your
What to
purchasing,
stock, what not
improve.
to stock.
At the end of the day, it's all about efficiency, right? In all that we do, especially, I mean, when you do leadership training, this is what they teach you, right? Everything is a process, and then
Yeah.
you process re-engineer, but then you need to measure in some shape or form. You need to measure. The insights are purely that measure of how much that reprocessing has been valuable, or how much are you successful in that process. Because at the end of the day, it's always a cycle. You process re-engineer and you measure again. Change something, process, measure.
When you try to migrate companies from spreadsheets to data sheets and a more robust system, what is the challenges that you encounter?
Ooh, very interesting. So first of all, I think today if you look at the systems today, it's a bit more complex. So, I mean, I remember 20 years ago, business intelligence was simpler because everything was on a server, right? So all databases were on the server. You pull data from databases. It was mainly databases, so everything became easy. Then someone came up with the data lake, right? Mostly in banks. So every piece of data, no longer databases, no longer structured. Everyone started throwing this data into this data dump, right? Oop, GDPR came over. So when GDPR came over, now you needed to know that data dump, who it related to.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenge is the complexity. So now we have different types of data, but also data which are either on the premise, on the cloud, or even you don't know where they are, right? There's SaaS systems. All you have is an API. You need to connect to it and bring data. So aligning this data and this complexity brings a lot of challenges. And I think one of the things that we see in the market, although it's becoming, CIOs are becoming more conscious of it, is the securitization of this data. So when you bring in, so every system has its own security, but when you bring in this security into one place, you get lost, right? You lose the effectiveness of security of the data domain, because then you're bringing in cost and revenues and this and that. So you're linking and correlating data, which really must be securitized at a different level. So there's the data governance,
Yes.
data governance layer. I think that is the biggest challenge, is for customers to understand what they can really get out of their data, because in general everyone understands that they have a lot of data. Mostly it's expensive, because today to store the volumes of data that an organization generates, it's expensive. But then the return on investment on the storage of the data is really low, unless you really generate additional insights or correlations that can benefit the organization at the end of the day.
Speaking of ROI, do organizations recognize the ROI of the migration sort of from one system to another?
So it's a staged approach. What normally so I always say that every data platform that we build, the first step, the first month, is to challenge the data. So challenge the business data. So if we just to put it simply, so if you're looking at a finance system and we're pulling data from a finance system, the first thing that, because now everything is more coordinated and more structured in a way that it's easy to access, the first thing that it challenges is the grouping of the chart of accounts.
Okay.
So yeah, to put it mildly, but then if you have customers, the categorization of the customers and how we want to see them. So it challenges a bit how the business looks at their own data clusters. But then the second, the question was?
The second was the return on investments.
The return on investment. So first is that. The second is how to use that now cleaned data to be able to generate additional either revenues or cost savings, right? Because at the end of the day, it's always this efficiency cycle of process measure. And what what I always try to do, at least from an organization perspective, and I think the team is always looking at it, is aligning to the customer, right? Aligning to the big bets of the customer, so that it's easier to measure the project success, because these projects, they cost a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of internal disruption, because they change how you look at your business, right, from different angles.
Mm-hmm. And at which stage of this initiative do you step in? So obviously you're there at the very beginning when you are collecting data or reorganizing it, and at which point do you leave the customer to navigating their own the system sort of?
We, in general, we never leave the customer.
Okay.
It's how much we're involved, right?
Okay.
At the beginning, there's a lot of involvement from our consultants to be able to map KPIs and data sets, because
Okay.
there's a lot of data sets around, but not everything is important for the organization to do, to keep, because if you have, I don't know, certain logs, you might not need them, depending on the organization. And then the build, which is completely normally on our end, and then is the handover session, which is normally it's 40% of a project, right?
Okay.
Because you need to handhold the customer to be able to start looking at data from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But then we never leave them, and the reason is that a data platform is very alive. It's very similar to the business, right? The business is always changing, so you always need to look at data differently, similar to the business, right?
Mhm.
Because whatever changes, market, countries, whatever changes is related to data, and data will help you change
Mhm.
effectively. So
For sure.
we're continuously working along the way. I mean, we have customers who have been with us since day one, and they're continuously, every year we do changes and increase the data estate, or change, migrate, build new systems, etc.
Mm-hmm. Before even the podcast started, Stefan, we were discussing about leadership and leadership training. In terms of leadership, what are the challenges that, or the learning curves that some leaders need to expose themselves in order for them to start analyzing, appreciating, and making use of insights?
Yeah, I think I believe that the only way how you can really understand where you're at is by consistently monitoring your targets, right? Your goals. Irrespective of if it's personal goals, if it's business goals, because if you're running, you run 5 kilometers, you need to monitor your
Yeah.
pace, right? If you want to run 7 kilometers, you still need to monitor your pace. But very similar with an organization, with your team and your team culture. You need to understand how everything is measured, so that you can implement effectively new processes to change or to improve your team dynamics.
Mm-hmm. And do you sort of like provide coaching or one-to-one interventions with leaders to help them? You mentioned that earlier that you do an element of hand-holding.
We do. So there are different stages. So
Okay.
the first one is to understand where the organization is going, so that we align this strategy, the data and AI strategy of the organization, completely with the vision of the organization,
Mhm.
because that that provides us with a complete alignment of project success with the vision of the company, right? The second one is to sit down with the visionaries of that organization, understand how they translate their thinking into actual insights. And that is the hand holding I was mentioning. You have the traditional hand holding and training of users switching from
Yeah.
Excel to dashboard, but then sitting down with the C-suite and helping them translate their thinking into reports, dashboards, KPIs, etc. It's extremely valuable. We learn a lot. That's how we learn, to be honest. We learn a lot by sitting down with these executives who really know their business very well, who have vision and insight in their own markets and in their own game, and they share with you these bits and pieces which really
Mhm.
gives you a lot of value.
Mhm. The parallel that I'm seeing is that with Endeavor. So briefly, I've mentioned what we do before the podcast, and something that distinguishes our service is that we do a lot of hand-holding in the sense that we construct the training initiatives in accordance to the client's needs. So we usually step into the organization, we do a diagnosis of what's working and what's not, and then we sort of like build a tailor-made program to attempt to solve that gap or bridge that gap or to solve that issue, obviously regarding to people, not data. So I'm seeing a lot of parallels there.
It's exactly the same thing, and similar in similarity. So when you go to the next customer, you already have a pre-packaged.
Yep.
So we don't start from zero. So we have
Yep.
our own libraries. If we talk technically, we have our own libraries, our own packaged solutions, so that we don't start from zero, but we start from 70.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, we localize it depending on the customer. So that is what you get with our services. It's the expertise. I'm very happy with the team that we have. I need to mention the team, and I always mention the team because it's them who really give value to the customers,
Yeah.
right? I am just there coordinating or somehow keeping the lights on, right?
Yes.
For the others to go in and go out, so switching on the offices. Sometimes that's how I feel, because they're continuously striving to help our customers. But that's why Eunoia. So the name comes from positive thinking, right? And the reason is that I always wanted to employ people who are not just great minds. Great minds we hear a lot now, but you have these positive minds, that positive thinkers who really can adapt, have the right attitude and aptitude to serve the customer well. Because today customers are extremely important. They struggle, because in general they are struggling to really make sense of their own data. So there needs to be someone who has the empathy to help them really make that step. And to make that step, you need a specific type of people.
Yes. What distinguishes Eunoia from the other companies or service providers?
I think it's this excellence that we try to achieve, right? So the team is really young, is striving for excellence in all they do. We do mistakes like anyone. Yeah, everyone does mistakes, but we learn, and every time it's not just a learning, but it goes into our process. And this is how we continuously grow and help each other grow. I think that the team that we have today is really advanced in terms of the technology stack that we work on, and has been recognized not just in Malta but also outside of Malta, because we compete in various markets. And when you see that one of your juniors is working in an organization and is considered as an architect, then you start understanding the level of our architects, right? By comparison. And this is because it's focus, right? Our focus is data and AI. This is what we do day in, day out.
Before picking your mind a bit about AI, because it's a buzzword, before we sat down, Stefan, you mentioned that at heart you're always a developer,
Yes.
and then you became an entrepreneur. What's the story behind that?
Ooh, long story. So
Okay.
I come from the data engineering field, right? So I've been working in data for the past, I will expose how old I am, 25 years. So I've been in data, business intelligence, data engineering, statistics. I've been working in this range of it's data at the end of the day,
Yes.
whatever we call it. It's working with data and statistics for a big part of my career. Then at one point in time, when the organization I used to work for decided that they wanted a split in the organization to give focus, and they gave me this opportunity. I was leading the team already, and they gave me this opportunity to come up with a business proposition, right? And this is where I founded Eunoia as it is today, which is a two-pronged approach. On one end, you have the data and AI services, and the other one is products, because I love products. I have this passion for products as well. So this is how it all started. So, and when I came up with this business proposition, they sort of had selected me already without me knowing to
Pioneer.
pioneer it. within the organization. We started off. Then in 2019, I bought out the company, and we continue growing year after year. Thank God, the team is very committed, and it's last year. I mean, it's not me. It's a reward for the team actually more than for me. We won the EY Rising Star Award.
Wow.
So it's an incredible journey. I feel that I grow continuously and I have the right team around me to keep me motivated, right? Because we get energy from the people around us, not from. It's not the project, it's the people, right? That is where at least that is where I feel it. I feed the energy.
What? Obviously, you shifted from being an employee to being an entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
What lesson did you not anticipate to learn as a
How
result
much
of
I
that?
didn't know. So
Okay.
it was a complete jump in the dark. Shifting from an employee to an entrepreneur is a conscious decision of pain.
Okay.
It's a conscious decision of pain, and I'll explain because the things that you value most in life are the ones which are very painful, and I shifted to loving what I do. So I don't work anymore. I don't consider myself working. I'm privileged to be able to do what I really love, right? With people that I selected to be around me who are really committed to the cause to the vision and crazy ideas that I have. Because that is even you have people who really believe in your crazy ideas.
Yeah.
So I feel I'm privileged, and I mentioned it previously when I was in Monaco at the UI Entrepreneur, they do this big event in Monaco like UI can do. There was I don't remember the name. There was a Portuguese ex-winner of the UI award world. He said that it's really a privilege to be able to make money on top of your dream. It's not a given, right? Because there are many entrepreneurs who try and fail.
Yes.
So success is not a given. You need to work for it every day, and it's good. It's good to sort of feel that, especially for people who are very successful. I mean, this guy has 25,000 people around the world. Very humble, very nice guy.
Interesting. You surprised me with the response, to be honest. The way you verbalized it, it's a different take.
Okay.
But I appreciate the fact that you were quite honest and upfront how much you didn't know, and I think that's a very big statement. It's not easy to say, okay, because I think the idea of being an entrepreneur, having your own business, is very much glorified, romanticized, and people think it's somewhat of a glamorous kind of life, which can be, but it also comes with a lot of hardships or pain, as you described it.
Pain. I think I like to use the word pain because even the organization feels pain, right? So if you're doing restructuring, and this word is used loosely, but if you don't, I mean, in a technology company, if every year there is no pain, we can't really grow. So growth, I mean, if you go to the gym, you need to feel pain so that you grow your biceps. It's important, right? It's important for growth. It's important for the growth of the organization. That's why I mention pain. I mean, I always like to watch the CEO of NVIDIA who speaks about pain a lot.
Okay.
I like this because this is going to be very painful to the organization. And he's right. Whenever there is something painful for the organization, then the outcome is really, really strong, because then everyone feels the pain, and when you went through the pain, you're more committed to the outcome. At least this is my journey.
So what makes pain manageable, in your opinion, or this type of pain manageable?
There are many ways of hope. So when talking about pain, it's not real.
Yes. That's why I mentioned this type of pain.
But if I want, let me explain what I mean. So pre-COVID, you had many people who ventured to be an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Many people who decided to be a solo, partial this, partial that. When COVID hit, Even in business, if you looked at the market started looking for stable organizations. And many of these consultants, many of these partial descent, partial debt, started going back to employment. That to me is pain, right? That to me is pain when you start something and because there's you need to reinvent
Right.
yourself to be able to join back.
Yeah.
There's also pain of changing structures. I mean, we're technologists. We like our comfort zone. We're developers. We do this process from A to Z in this way. Changing that process is really painful for a developer. So change is not necessarily bad. It's always a good thing. I mean, I love change. I strongly believe that if we don't change, I always try to change things which have been working the same way
Yeah.
for 2 years. So I have this mentality that whenever I see something, so I look at marketing, it's been 2 years like that. So we need to change it. It creates disruption, creates
Yes.
the organizational pain. But this is how we keep abreast. But for technologists, it's not necessarily necessarily nice, or they're not happy every time I come up with some kind of change.
And I think earlier you mentioned something quite valuable for this answer as well, is that you enjoy what you do. So I think it might feel less painful if you enjoy what you do. Naturally, if you are having your own business, even if you're working or having the privilege of working on your dream, there are some things that you might not really enjoy doing, or not you don't know how to do actually, but you still need to do. You still need to learn. So as an entrepreneur, you still need to learn about finances and financial literacy. You need to know your stuff around money and finance. Otherwise, you will not be profitable, or can make investments, can pay the people that
You need to
work with
sell.
you.
You
You need to sell as well. Something that
Entrepreneur cannot not sell.
yes. So you need to sell or learn how to sell, which is or finding your voice in selling, and that's something that I've struggled with as well. I think I still do. So I wouldn't consider myself as a salesperson. That's something that I had to overcome, because it tied in to how I see salespeople internally. So sometimes we have an image of
Yeah,
something or
definitely.
someone, and we might not like that perception, and we have to overcome that sort of like mental image that we have of someone who sells.
100%. I mean, and if you're technically not in your area, it doesn't come natural,
Yes.
right? And you hear these people who will tell you sales is something you're born with. Sales is not really. If you need, you must sell. So, as an entrepreneur, especially in the beginning, you must become a bigger salesman than anyone you will employ, right? It's different. Your role will open doors, because if you are a CEO or a director of a company, it will help you open doors. But in general, you need to convince people, and you need to be as transparent and honest with your customers, because that will burn your path along the way.
Yes.
I've learned it. I've learned it from day one, that because I've seen people selling, or I had competition selling, and nothing against competition, because to me competition doesn't exist. It's as long as the customer is served well. I mean, it could be us, it could be X, as long as they're served well. The problem is when they're served wrongly, or
Yeah.
when someone oversells or says wrongly.
I think it's more about the values. So something that I always led endeavor with is the value proposition. So what values are we trying to do? So doing the right thing sometimes is very difficult. Sometimes, in inverted commas, you can lose money because you're trying to do the right thing. Sometimes the truth hurts more than anything.
Yep.
And telling the client what is not working and what is working sometimes can hurt them just a little bit, but and it might hinder you selling something because you're telling the truth. But ultimately,
What I learned is that they'll come around.
Yep.
So if you're honest and you really mean well, and you really want your customers to succeed, even if it for them is painful, why wouldn't I buy from someone who's really telling me where my pain
Yep.
is? So why unless I don't have the budget for,
Yeah.
I would still choose him, right? Because the value there is that they are really looking at my pain.
Yeah.
So I think that in general that will I had customers who left us, went for big corporates, and then they came back because we are we, right? I like
Yes.
to call this you do you, because I tell everyone to you do you, because you are with your pluses and minuses, and your minuses not necessarily are the negative traits that would help you sell,
Yes.
or help you be successful in your area.
Yeah.
So
It's all about. I think if you stand by your values and provide the values that you are saying that you are providing, I think that is all that matters, to be honest. So
you have to walk the talk.
yes,
You
yes.
can't just do the
The advert.
sales book thing and that's it.
And then it is then that you will start building a brand rather than quote unquote just doing marketing, because you can put adverts, but then you start building a brand because you start building a reputation.
I think I think that what at least I think, from my humble opinion, is that you build a brand when your people really commit to the vision, right?
Yeah.
Because there is where the brand, so everyone is aligned and talking the same thing. Everyone is doing what the customer requires, trying to excel, trying to help, using empathy with the customer. There is where the brand starts aligning, because everyone is really approaching different ideas, because that's important. Everyone must make an impact, but at the end of the day, keeping the customer at the core, at the core. And I've seen this to be honest, we work a lot with hyperscalers, so we work, and not just in Malta. So to give context, not just Malta, Cyprus and Greece, but across Europe and the Gulf. You see these salesmen who wants to hit the number, right? You see these salesmen who are pushy, who don't consider the customer. I was going to use a good word. Who really don't. It's not about the customer, but it's making their number and making their commission, and that's it. You start filtering down, and then you see how much time they last. So how long they last. Normally, 6 months to a year. So then they either they move on or they are helped to move on. Because at the end of the day, customer starts complaining, and big customers have big complaints, and they have big budgets. So hyperscalers don't have the empathy to wait for people.
Yes.
They are there to demand. I mean, we're seeing AWS, Microsoft, where they're firing people, where they're doing the best profits ever, right? So while they're doing big profits, they're still firing people. It's the nature of the business, I guess.
I mean, technology has always been fast, and I think it will always will be, because it needs to be in the top of its game, right? So I think in technology there is always this fast pace, this kind of thrilling experience to some extent as well, because I think you need to appreciate that as well. And
it's exciting, it's scary. I mean, imagine if I was a developer today, I would be as excited and as scared as possible, as one could think of, right? Because everyone is saying that development will be the first thing that won't last, right? As a software developer, I might not be, I might have a bot who does better than I do, right?
yeah,
but the question is, what will I be doing then? Because someone needs to put in the
Monitor,
intent.
yeah.
The human will put in the intent, while the bots will deliver whatever they need to deliver, but it's fine. Still, today, if you go to any developer in the world, everyone is using either Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini to be able to build the first 70% of the code, and then they...
Yes.
So, who's not using AI, either they are moguls now, right? So they are dinosaurs of technology, even if they are 25-year-olds.
On this note, what are your thoughts on AI?
I think that, so to me, at least from an ethical perspective, I believe in the power of three. So data, AI, and the human. How this will evolve, I can't tell you. I can tell you. To me, it's very exciting to see how this will evolve.
Yeah.
My hope is that we focus more on how we can improve humanity rather than how we can build arms. To me, because you have this challenge with AI, with every technology, new technology. First goes to war or arms, then it goes to porn, then it goes to the public market. To me, I mean, there's so much to do with human, with health, with advancement, there's so much to do there that all the rest is waste of time.
Yeah.
And we can't, as in 2025, we can't really focus on capturing Greenland. I mean, we should focus on how we increase the food population,
Supply, yeah.
find cures for cancers that are the rare diseases, right? Not focus on the what divides us, but what unites us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's a whole conspiracy spectrum over there
Yeah, of course.
as well. So I like the way that how you framed it. I wasn't aware of the concept of the power of three. So the human, the AI, and the data. I think that's something that I've never stumbled upon, which is quite interesting to see the human occupying the 1/3 of that equation.
If it's 1/3, at least the intent.
Yeah.
Um, in few months from now, you'll understand why, because there's something that we're cooking that will be presented to the market. But to me, the intent needs to be the human, right? Why would you replace the human's intent when the human is so creative and has been for quite some time, right? Has managed to build this technology. AI has the ability to facilitate and to increase productivity. That's for sure. But how to do that? I think the intent needs to be human supervised, at least for the time being, until we go to a new era, which is, in my opinion, 10, 20 years from now.
Mhm. What do you think we are taking for granted now vis-a-vis AI?
Security concerns. I think one of the things that no one is talking about is how to secure your data. So there's this gap. So when you have CEOs and boards who are saying, let's do AI, even if they don't understand AI, but they know that their competitor is doing AI.
Okay.
So, or they are trying to, so they need to go. And then you have IT departments who do not necessarily understand the whole or how to achieve AI. So they're asking for people, for money, for extended projects, but because they know the underlying mess, right? The complexity of their environment, or how much it can scale to be able to deploy AI models, automation. You can name them, because AI has been with us for quite a long time, right? So I think one of the challenges is not to short circuit. The data governance side of things is extremely important, because there is where you start losing the knowledge and intelligence of the organization. So if you start, the data is the IP of the organization. It's what really makes you. So if you give that to OpenAI or to anyone, then you start losing this intelligence, and you're giving it to the world. It's open source, so it's available.
So would you say that that is a trade-off that organizations are not acknowledging?
I think that more than not acknowledging, they don't want to see it. So in simple terms, so if you have your contracts and you start using ChatGPT to correct them, you're sharing your contract or your contract design with ChatGPT, and it's learning on top of it. So imagine if you're exposing your data to ChatGPT. There are ways of how to secure it. There are proper ways of how to build a proper data platform which is secured and which is controlled and keeps the intelligence within your organization. Right? That is where the focus should be. That is the proper platform. There are, either because of lack of knowledge or either because of speed. There are many organizations who are missing this. And that is where the problem is. Because they're losing, or they are giving away their biggest worth, which is the knowledge of their data.
Hmm. I think in most cases, at least from my experience, I think it's speed. Um, because if you can have AI do it in, let's say 5-10 minutes, if you need to, let's say a contract, that is up my alley, let's say. If you need to verify with a lawyer or of sorts, you need to send the email, then you would have the first iteration, correct it, see the track changes,
I
then
have many
resend it.
lawyers who mile off to that, but once you get the lawyers in, you know it's going to take a month. Right? So at least.
And that is where speed comes in. So once you involve a human or an entity, let's say, which is made up of humans, speed becomes at a minute versus a month.
But there are so if you're using the open version of ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and you're using Copilot, you're basically using the same models, right? The difference is that Copilot ensures that it is within a tenant. So there are little things that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
but no one wants to talk about it, right? Everyone wants to use AI, and this is what transpires, that many AI projects fail, but fail not because of because they are not worth, but because they are results of speed rather than results of a strategy where you know where you're taking your organization, and you might be needing to send data which you don't want to send,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't want to expose. So how to build or how to architect a solution has different paths depending on what you want to do. Not everything not everything needs to be hidden, but some things needs to be kept in your safe.
Let's make some assumptions here. So the assumptions that I'm going to make is that speed equals to short term or short-sightedness. That's the assumption. If we want to plug in the insights and the data into a long-term thinking or a strategic way of thinking, how can a company go from balancing the speed and the immediacy of the information that they get from AI, plug them into a more strategic way of thinking?
So speed does not mean short-sightedness. It's selecting the right approach. To give you an example, so we designed one of our products is Q3.
Okay.
Q3 is a ChatGPT kind of format where you ask data on top of your data.
Okay.
But the data is governed. The data never leaves your premise. This is the result that is presented on Q3. So there's security to connect point to point, etc. Instead of plugging in, I don't know, a generalized application on top of your data without knowing where it is. At least you know where this where that everything is properly secure. You can ask questions literally. Listen, why did I do less profit last year, or last month, or last week? And it will give you the assumptions based on the data that you have. It's going very well anyway. So there are ways of how to shortcut. It's a matter of understanding or keeping in view whilst you are selecting. So as a selection process, security, we talk about cybersecurity. Now it's a compliance for many organizations. It's because it's a compliance now, it's all right, we have the budget, right?
Yeah.
But then, so you have a cybersecurity software, you're spending a lot of money, but then you plug in your contracts to ChatGPT. I mean, explain this to me. So you're spending money here, but then you have a lack of security there. Although today the security platforms, especially the most advanced one, will tell you or will not let you to do that, at least centrally. But you still have the possibility. I mean, it's still a challenge. So this is what I mean. So it's not necessarily about speed. It's about proper thinking, or acknowledging that part of this process is securitization. And I'm not saying securitization as a blocker, but as an enabler, because once you properly secure your platform, it should act as as an even accelerator, because then you're comfortable building and adding more stuff to the solution. So it's not a blocker, because people think that okay, it's security, we need to tie in, we need to close all the doors before we start doing something. It's not. Today technology is very fast, and these solutions are very, very fast as well. So to implement them does not take a lot of time. It takes a lot of thinking, or it takes some thinking, or thinking mainly with security. I speak a lot about security because some time ago we've started off this ISO certification, the
Okay.
use of law, and it changed completely how we think and approach information security, because data is so valuable and we understand how valuable it is. The first thing that we look at is how to secure the perimeter and the data itself, right? Because today, even if you share profit internally, there are some people who there's a there are different hierarchies in an organization. Not everyone should be exposed to the profit, because there are some employees who use it as a tool in their annual increment, right?
Yes.
So not everyone should be able to do that. I mean, and if you're comparing, if you're a brand manager and you're selling a particular brand, you shouldn't see the data of the other brand manager. You should focus on your own, right? So this type of sharing and securitizing data on the at department level is extremely important. But it then frees up other stuff, right? Because then you have all the insight that you can generate on top of your data.
Hmm. I mean, this can all sound very overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been involved for more than 25 years, so for you, it comes second nature.
I think it's more talking, it's more talk than
Mhm.
actually time to implement.
Yes.
It takes a lot of understanding. I think the first two stages, where we understand the big bets of an organization and then we do the KPI mapping, those are the biggest parts of such a project. Then the rest is here and there, right? We need
Just tweaks along the way.
and we need specific people for specific tasks to understand some items along the way. Otherwise, it's mainly a very streamlined and fast project.
Let's say there are two kind of people who are listening to this episode or watching this episode, and there are people who are leaders or are managing teams or entrepreneurs or business owners, and people who are just curious and tuning in. From where would you suggest that they start educating themselves and informing themselves on the topic? Do they share the same starting point, or you suggest something different?
Very interesting. So I think, why not use AI, right?
Okay.
So try to accelerate using it. So first of all, I believe that if you're not using AI, you're missing out, right? So if you're not using the GPTs, Gemini, Claudes of this world, you're missing out. So understand, asking the questions to something like like one of these bots is where you get the best responses, right? Because it's volumes of documents, volume of training, and it summarizes and gives you where you can really focus on. And I think there is where you should use AI. AI is there to help accelerate this process.
Okay. Would you say that there are different starting points for these two people, or would you say the starting point is the same?
The starting point it's normally the same, but
Mhm.
if you prompt engineer, oh, that's a big word. So you ask a different question
Yes.
to a bot, depending on what your expectations are. The outcome is different, right? So I don't know how much you use GPT. I love using this speakers. If I consider this
Yes.
explain it to me as a 5-year-old. So
Yes.
I love that, because there are some things I don't understand. So I explain this as a 5-year-old. Can you translate it in Maltese? Can you translate? It's fine. Especially legal stuff.
Yes.
Right? I need this explaining to 5-year-old. It all depends on you're right. So it depends your stage, your background, etc. but it's about questioning, right?
Yes.
It's about putting in the right question. I would say that the leaders of tomorrow are the ones who ask the right question,
Yeah.
not the ones with the certifications behind their back, but
Yes.
those who really know how to ask questions to the tools that we have today.
Mhm. And going back to something you mentioned several times is that, and I think, at least that's the way I learn as well. I'm a very learn by doing kind of person. I think you really understand what is going on by actually using these tools yourself. So apart from missing out, perhaps, I think for you to understand, because sometimes we need to experience something for us to understand what it truly means and how it really looks like. So for us to at least start appreciating what it can do, what are the safety implications or the risks, we need to start using it first. And sometimes it can be painful, just to use a word that
Yeah.
sometimes we get burnt because we might overshared something, we might have shared something that we shouldn't have shared through these bots. But I think it's using it and being immersed in it. I think that's actually the first step to understand. Because if you're a leader and you're managing a team and you're managing a diverse team, if they are using it but you don't know what they're using, actually you wouldn't understand what's
And
happening.
it's the nice thing about it is, I mean, it could be there's pros and cons, but the nice thing about it is that it is emotionless, right? So it won't get fed up to explain it differently
Yep.
in different ways,
Yep.
right? Because if you try me, it's 3 times. If you try my wife, it's 1 time. So there's no it's one bell,
And
the burning one.
be careful. Recently, there are these short clips or funny clips, let's say, that are popping up that certain people are stress testing the different ChatGPTs or different GPTs as well, to see what kind of response they issue or attempt to issue. And it's quite funny to see how clever AI can be in order to avoid or try to in different ways to not explain or not show or not answer certain questions. So that can be also a way of learning what to ask or what not to ask.
Yeah, that's true. I think that for anyone who wants to try, has not started, I can give a very simple way of how to start. So for the next partner's birthday, right? Ask the question to the bot, suggestions. Give him the details of the person and what they like and don't know, and suggestions. And you'll find one of the first 5 you'll buy for sure. I can promise you'll buy. It eases a lot of thinking for many people.
At least it helps you brainstorm, if anything.
It's very good. It's a good tool to brainstorm, to be honest.
Stefan, we're nearing the end of our episode, and as promised, I'm going to summon the fishbowl. I'm going to ask you to choose one, read it out loud, and answer it like a rapid fire question. Yes, you can mix it how much you want.
Just in case.
No, they're not all the same.
Nice. This is very interesting, actually. What role does self-reflection play in your personal development? It's very important. I learned early in my career that I used to block Thursday afternoons. So
Okay.
Thursday afternoons would be a reflection on last week, this week, last week, so this week, and the next week. So what I did wrong, the agile process. Today I reflect more on myself, so it's more a mental development. So I do this every Sunday morning. I have this 30 minutes where I look into myself and I see I look in the mirror and I just, if I like myself or how I'm behaving. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and that is where I try to improve. So this is how I try to grow.
2 questions.
Yeah.
Why Thursday afternoon?
It used to be Thursday afternoon because in the way we had been set up at
Okay.
the time, Thursday afternoon would be the least day where I had meetings in the afternoon. So
Okay.
I blocked it, and then it remained Thursday afternoons. Then I changed job, and I still kept it Thursday afternoon from day one.
All right. So
So-
why now? The second question is why now Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, because I have time for myself. Because
Okay.
as an entrepreneur, and for those who want to become entrepreneurs, yes, you need to work a lot. You need to commit yourself to the mission. So Sundays is when I unplug. So that is where I unplug. It's family day, so at least until 6, 7 Sundays I unplug. Then I start thinking about the day after.
Yes.
I look at the calendar, which is where
Monday
I
again.
start. That's Monday again.
For me, it's Sunday evenings. So for me, the reflection part comes in Sunday evenings.
It's difficult for Sunday evenings. At least to me, I'm already in
Working mode?
Working mode.
Okay.
So I need that. And Saturday is too near Friday, so
Yes.
I'm still working. So Sunday morning is the ideal.
Yes.
But it's all personal.
Yeah,
right? It's all
100%. Everyone has their own.
But it's important. Reflection is, and I try to tell it to the team. They're young, and average age is 27 years old. So them reflection is what yoga. So, having said that, today some of them are realizing that they need reflection, and hopefully it continues and they continue to grow, right? Because you need your own personal mental growth
Yes.
to be able to help others to grow. It's like the aeroplane, right? First you need to put on your marks before
Yes.
you
To explain it, you were on a plane recently, but that's very true. True. Stefan, thank you for your time. This has been very informative, for me at least, very educational as well, because I am an AI user, of course, like most of the people who are listening, perhaps, and it has become such an important and integral part in most of our lives. But I'm not that IT savvy as well to know the intricacies and the details as well. I appreciated your insights and your takes
apologies
as well.
if I went a bit technical, but
No,
that's
not,
my nature, unfortunately.
I did my best to summarize and to make it a little bit colloquial because even I struggle with certain jargon as well.
Yeah,
So, Stefan, thank you for your time. Thank you for being
it's a
here.
pleasure.
Pleasure mine. Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you.